Today I'm gonna talk about something a little bit crazy. I'm gonna talk about my feelings. Yeah, that's right. The thing that men don't do. I'm gonna do it. The thing that men aren't supposed to do. Talk about their feelings. If you're a decent human being, you're probably thinking, well, that's not crazy. Men should talk about their feelings. Well, the reality is toxic masculinity exists. And, there's a general understanding, I think, that men, we just don't talk about our feelings. We just don't want to. So, my feelings, I said I was going to talk about it. So, here we go. I'm sad. I'm kind of depressed, honestly. I think I have been for a while, honestly. I have been doing better lately, but it's still pretty rough. Still pretty depressed, I think. Why am I depressed? Well, I don't really want to talk about it, but to fight against the stereotypes, I will, even though my personal feelings are not the point of this video. I'll do it. I'll talk about my feelings. The reason why I'm depressed is because the truth is I have been alone for quite some time, and I don't really want to be. I want to find, the whole romantic thing, and I'm starting to feel like I genuinely never will. But I'm going to move on because, like I said, the point of this video is not my personal feelings. So I will propose the question, why don't men want to talk about their feelings? Why don't I want to talk about my feelings? And I think it's because of a simple truth that I think most people kind of understand intrinsically, subconsciously. I think the reason why men don't like to talk about their feelings is because I think we men understand that the truth is emotional men are scary. I think it's something people don't really think about very much or talk about at all. But I think it's something most people understand. And I think it's something most men understand. I don't want to be scary. Men do not generally want to be scary. They want to be good, likable people, So I propose the question, why are emotional men scary? Well, I think the simple answer is that statistically, men are more reckless. Men are more likely to commit crimes, do violent things, kill, murder, assault, physical, sexual, bad things. Men have a reputation for doing stupid things. Everybody knows this. Everybody's seen the videos online of a man or some men doing something really dumb, and the caption's like, "This is why men don't live as long as women." And it's like funny, It's true. We all get it. It's like, ha ha, these dumb guys. I think the reason why emotional men are specifically so scary, the reason why I say this is because I think most people understand that what drives people to do scary things is their feelings, right? They say to murder somebody, you have to have strong feelings for them, right? 9 times out of 10, the murderer is somebody who is closely related and has strong feelings for the person they murdered. Sometimes men with a strong feelings for a woman even that he thinks is attractive will do bad things because of those feelings. It's so romantic feelings on emotional men can be particularly scary for women. Also, emotional men can be scary, not because of what they'll do to other people, but what they might do to themselves. So family and friends might be scared of what you will do to yourself because of your feelings. So you don't talk about those feelings. Even if you actually do want to do something to yourself, you don't talk about it because you don't want to scare your family and friends. So I think it's pretty well understood that emotional men are scary. But I think it's more than just their emotions, right? That drive men to do scary things, that drive people to do scary things. I think what really drives somebody to do the things they are not supposed to do, the bad things, is truly a feeling of being displaced and distrusted by society. Because trust is a two-way street. And if you don't feel like society cares about you or trusts you, then why would you listen to the rules and regulations of that society? And so sad or upset, reckless men who feel displaced by society are just going to be that much more likely to do bad things. I think this brings me to my next point, which is, I think the main point of this video, and that is, I think trust for men online is at an all-time low these days. And I think that's because of the internet. Everything gets posted online. Everyone sees everything posted online. And I think there's a lot of negativity and distrust for men online these days. It is a patriarchy. Men are pretty generally privileged compared to women. So, maybe we have it coming. I don't think it's a good thing for trust to be so low for half the people that exist. If you spend enough time online, you will inevitably see posts about men being shitty. Mostly from women, with especially some of those romantic things. Spend enough time online, you will inevitably see it. You can't really avoid it. I think somewhat recently there was a trend of women talking about would you rather encounter a random man or a bear? And it was like, I choose the bear. And it's a commentary about random men being scary, right? Which is a little bit crazy because I think bears are scary, but I think it's mostly hyperbole, exaggeration to make a point. Because random men can do some really crazy bad stuff. And a bear can also do that, but it's like more predictable maybe. I don't know. Bear encounters are scary, and you definitely have to be prepared for those. So I don't know if I fully... The point is not that bears are worse or better than men. It's that distrust for men is really bad, and women just want to say it. They just want to tell you how much they don't trust men. In general, right? So you see a lot of these posts written online about men, and they're usually written as generalized statements about men. You might know what I'm talking about. This is kind of a hot topic for debate online these days. These phrases are often written like, why do men do this? Why are men like this? Why do men think this is okay? Not more specific, like why did this man do this? Or why do some men think this is okay? And these posts, I really think, create a lot of distrust online for men. I think that most of us men understand these sentiments and know that most of the time the poster doesn't truly mean all men. But the posts are still written in that fashion, and when you see it so often online, it really does start to affect you. Sometimes, in the comments, some dude will go in and say, not all men, and he'll get torn apart for it. He'll get chewed out, get his life ruined for it kind of thing. And that's I think a little excessive. I do think that men should not leave these comments, that they are insensitive. So men, do not leave those comments. It feels like you, the man, are trying to come into this issue generally about women or something else and turning it into an issue about you, an issue about men, right? Even if you feel very strongly that not all men are this way, don't say it. It's not worth it. And, women, if a man leaves this comment, maybe just ignore it. Don't ruin his life. He's probably in a pretty bad place, so don't ruin his life over it. The general idea is that these posts create a general distrust for men, an image of distrust for men online, and largely just in society. These men posts, and then these not all men getting chewed out for it. And just this crazy idea that being specific is a bad thing and that it is all men, right? If you spend enough time online, you just can't avoid these things. Young men especially, I think is important. Spend time online and they will see these things and it will affect them negatively. I, as a younger man, as a now man and as a younger man, I would spend time on Reddit. Wonderful place. Follow subreddits, read posts, have a grand old time. But there's one specific subreddit that would pop up all the time on my feed called 2X Chromosomes, which is a wonderful place, not for men. It's a place for women to talk about their problems to other women. And it's a good place where women can do their thing. And I don't think it's for men. It's not for us to see. Not really. But for some reason, it would still pop up on my feed all the time. I did not follow it. It just showed up. And it's probably not just me that sees the posts from this 2X chromosome subreddit on my feed all the time. As a younger man, I would read the posts from 2X chromosomes all the time because I wanted to be a good person and I wanted to be understanding of the issues that women have. And a lot of these posts from 2X chromosomes were about men being generally shitty. And they were always or almost always phrased in this very general men statement, right? I read these posts as a young man because I wanted to be a good man. I wanted to be a good person. And maybe I learned a little bit, I got a little bit of empathy, but I think what I really got was a whole lot of insecurity and depression out of it. I no longer read these posts because I know they're not for me and I know that they're just going to make me feel bad. So I don't read these posts anymore, but they still pop up on my feed to this day. I even got notification for one of these posts the other day, which is why Reddit, please? This isn't for me. I don't want to see it. It makes me sad. So some of these posts online, will be men obviously doing something shitty, or a man or some men doing something obviously shitty. But sometimes they're a little bit more ambiguous. You might see a post of a men hitting on women in the grocery store, a woman in the grocery store, and she complains about it and says, men don't do this anymore. And she would be pretty much right. Not a great place to do that, to flirt. Not really. Some men don't do that, but it's also not that terrible of a thing, especially since, in modern society, there's a massive expectation for men to make the move. Men really feel like they have to make the move at some point, one way or another. A lot of men probably don't feel like they have many opportunities to do this, and they want to find somebody like me. I don't hit on women in the grocery store. I promise. I barely hit on women at all. I'm too gosh darn shy to do that. There are a lot of men that probably just work quite a bit. I don't feel like they have many opportunities to, do the thing that society expects them to do, to make the move, to make the first move. So when they see a post like this, a place like the grocery store, it might make them feel pretty bad. And I think modern expectations are very difficult for men because we are expected to make the first move. Maybe it's just because of the way it works, and patriarchy and all that stuff. But I think women play into this expectation too. I think women prefer courageous men, for sure, generally speaking. I've heard the sentiment from women about how a man's got to have balls to hit on her, or to do the thing. This is a very common sentiment, and I think a very popular trait for women, that women are looking for in men. And I think ultimately society places these expectations on men to make the move. But we all spend time online. We all see how much women hate us, for making the move on them or whatever, right? We see how much they complain. And these statements written in a very general way. And it feels like a contradiction. We got to make the move, but we can't do it. We see online that we just cannot, we should not do it, but we have to. It's a huge contradiction. It's extremely a difficult needle to thread. Very, very troubling romantic expectations that we have to deal with. And I think modern dating for everybody is pretty bad right now. So I'm going to move on to the next issue here, which the next part, which is I think the most important thing, the main reason I'm making this video. I already mentioned it a little bit, but what happens is I think the most important thing is young men, young influenceable, impressionable men will inevitably spend time online. And I think they will often be quite damaged by the things they see online, the general distrust, the posts they see about men. And, they'll probably be damaged by failing very, very difficult modern dating romantic expectations. Generally, what'll happen is, a young man will, if they're affected by these things, which I think they quite often will be, they'll either become upset or depressed. And they can't talk about these feelings, because they'll be scary. They know that men are scary based on all these posts, right? Emotional men are scary, so they won't talk about it. And they'll bottle these feelings up based on this distrust in their whole world that they live in. More likely to do bad things, maybe even hurt themselves, right? Which is not good. Those things are not good. But the other thing that might happen, quite often happens, I think, is young men who feel bad about themselves will quite often turn to the communities that they can find that will accept them and listen to them and make them feel good about being a man. A lot of these communities that young men end up being very toxic, masculine, and misogynistic communities. I'm thinking communities run by people like Andrew Tate, Aiden Ross. There are like some pickup artist communities that are pretty toxic. There are some workout gurus, that are fairly toxic and misogynistic. Not all communities, of course. There are some good ones for sure, especially in some of these areas that I mentioned. In these toxic communities, these vulnerable, damaged young men will learn to further distrust women, and they'll learn to become misogynistic. I think the key here is that misogyny is not a natural thing. Misogyny is learned. It is something vulnerable, damaged young men learn from other already damaged older men, right? So to conclude this video, I think the main idea is that things are kind of bad for men online right now. There's a lot of distrust displayed online, and I think it's too much, honestly. I don't think anybody really wants to talk about it. Men are generally privileged, and it is a patriarchy, but men are 50% of the people. And I think it's a problem when men become damaged, because misogyny and discrimination is a cycle where young men who feel bad about themselves will learn from other damaged men to be misogynistic. They'll learn these terrible things that we don't want them to learn because they feel displaced and distrusted by their society and their community. And this online internet culture is just a big part of modern society and modern communities that men and everybody gets involved in. Another thing I think is important to talk about here is trans men are also affected by this. It's not just, regular straight heterosexual cisgendered men or whatever. A lot of people feel like trans men are the exception, right? That they're not part of the problem. The problem is that these generalized statements are just that. They're generalized. They affect anybody who could be considered a man, and transgender men are men. For them, it's like they chose to align themselves with something that's better fits their personal identity. They chose to do this, to be themselves. And then they're just finding that they chose to be something that is just generally hated by people online, by the very women that they maybe used to relate to more. Truth is, these generalized men statements are not good. They affect anybody who could be considered a man. And even if it's just the transgender men you care about, I think that's enough reason to be specific. when men see these generalized statements online, I think what happens is they feel like they read these statements and they get this vibe that men suck, right? We feel like we're born to be bad people, that we're born to be villains. Like there's nothing we can do. We're just not good. And ultimately, these negative feelings just damage young men, and it's not beneficial for them. It pushes them to do the bad things that we're so scared of, right? And join toxic masculine communities and learn misogyny, which is ultimately, a very important issue that we all want to avoid. I think that's the main reason why women talk negatively about men so often online, is because misogyny, the fact that they want to avoid it, which is good. I don't think we should stop talking about these things. I think it's really important that we talk about how some negative men might affect others. I think it's important that we talk about that. I don't think we should stop, but I think it's really important that we're careful about how we do it, because men are not as bad as it seems. I actually think most men are fine. I think most men are okay people. So I think trust is the main idea here, the main thing, the most important thing. Trust is a two-way street, and ultimately men will feel better about society and being in it if they feel more trusted themselves. When posting about these things online, I think ultimately it would be really great if we just got used to saying it in a more specific way. Like, we don't have to not say it, but rather than be like, why are men like this? Say, why are some men like this? Rather than, why do men do this? Why did this man do this? Why do some men think this is okay? I know it's a hot topic for debate, but I don't think it's really accomplishing what we want it to accomplish, because we're being too general. This isn't like ACAB. This isn't like the police, where everyone's choosing to be part of this bad system. This is people just being born the way they are and feeling bad for it. This is different. We shouldn't generalize about men. We should be specific. You don't have to be super specific, just specific enough that us men can see a post about one of these posts and rather than think, I'm a piece of shit because I'm a man, we can think, I'll not do that. I'll be one of the good ones. I'll be one of the good men. So, I think another thing you could do is, if there's a man in your life that you trust who's maybe doesn't seem very happy or is alone, try to talk to him about his feelings. Maybe let him know that you trust him. You won't be scared of his feelings and what they might cause him to do. You won't be scared of that. I think that's the important part, because having your loved ones and people you care about be scared of you, or people you want to connect with be scared of you just because you're a man, an emotional man, that's what is so tough, and that's what makes us really feel displaced. So just, if you trust him, just let him know that you're not going to be scared that he's going to do something bad because of his feelings. And it'll probably be pretty awkward because men don't like to talk about their feelings. Yeah, this one doesn't, that's for sure. It'll be awkward. Good luck. I believe in you. Also, maybe sometimes women should make the first move more often. Sometimes, maybe. We get that it's scary. Trust me, we get it. It's scary, it's very difficult to do, and it's super, like, you feel like everything's going to go horribly, but we get it. But I think, ultimately we'd make a difference if more women made the move. I don't have anything else to say. Anyways, thanks for watching. Men are vulnerable. Avoid generalized men statements. And like and subscribe, I guess. Bye.